The table that I grew up around was full of love and laughter, and it was full of boys. My mom and I were outnumbered 2-1 by my dad and my 3 older brothers. Our living room often turned into a wrestling room. We could hold our own at the table, maybe not in the wrestling room. But I started outnumbered. My table at home is full of boys. My husband and our sons, Cam and Jack. So I kind of got used to being outnumbered and being the only one. So it was no surprise when I went down the street to Georgia Tech to study engineering, a discipline that is outnumbered male to female, 6-1. Georgia Tech is known to be notoriously difficult. At freshman convocation, they say, look to your left, look to your right. Only one of you will be here in 4 years. Brutal. So I was there after 5 years. I had made it. And when we think about matriculating at Georgia Tech, we say we get out. We don't graduate. So it's like a prison sentence. But I did get out and graduated with an engineering degree. And from engineering, you go to the career fair table. And the career fair table says stuff like, come join corporate America, where women are underrepresented in every level, across every sector. It didn't really say that. And nor did I know that, because it was 1996. The internet was barely a thing. No 23-year-old is looking up about equity demographics, and you just needed a job, right? And so I had the great pleasure of finding this amazing company for whom I started to work. And that company was kind of antithetical to everything that corporate America was, everything that manufacturing companies were. There were women everywhere. Every corporate table had a woman leading a department, had women leading production. The ecosystem of that leadership team was full of women. And I was like, this is groovy. Like, this is amazing. So I grew up there. I had the good fortune to learn a lot, have a lot of opportunities. And I get to kind of the pinnacle of leadership in a manufacturing role, which is to lead a plant. In the US, there are 290,000 manufacturing facilities. 2% of them are run by women. So I start to understand the gravity and the reality of my role as a leader. It was old hat for me. This is a place I had grown up, and it felt like an extension of my family. It felt like my brothers or my husband or my kids, that it was just supported. It was amazing. Spoiler alert, it doesn't stay amazing. So I'm progressing through, the company gets acquired, which happens to lots of us, right? And I start to realize that I had been in this beautiful bubble and I had been protected. And so company acquisition happens, new CEO is going to come visit. We were in Atlanta, they were in Atlanta. And so I'm getting ready with Cam one morning. And I said, Cam, today's a really big day. The CEO of the new company is coming to mommy's plant. And he said, does she run the whole company? And I didn't have the heart to tell him that it was a 62-year-old white man that ran the whole company, because it didn't matter. I had shaped that paradigm for him, and Ethan and I had shaped that paradigm for him, and it was really powerful. Fast forward to the next kind of big gig. I'm at a company, we'll call it a ginormous gazillion-dollar company for the purposes of this discussion. And what I realized is my bubble had burst. That perfect little dream job that I had and had been so protected was gone. And the table that I was sitting at was full of men that I didn't know and I hadn't grown up with and probably didn't care about me. And I started to wither. And I started to lose my confidence. And I felt outnumbered. So there was a particular meeting that we had. This is so corporate, like top 25, and it's the top 25 leaders of the company, manufacturing leaders, and I was the only woman in the room. And I hated this meeting with the undying passion of 1,000 suns. This is the meeting that you hate. You can picture it. Like, I'd rather get food poisoning than go to this meeting. Please don't make me go to this meeting. And so I wouldn't say anything. I'd sit on my hands. I'd bite my tongue, count the seconds, and run out as fast as it was over. And so this goes a couple of months, and my boss says, "How come you never say anything at that meeting?" And I said, "Fair." He said, "You have really great experience. You've got great ideas. You lead differently than that group of people. They could probably learn something from you." And so when my boss asked me to lead from my seat at the table, it was very powerful. And I accepted that challenge. So when you think about the manufacturing world, we talk about safety all the time, and we have this big conference every year, and everybody and their brother comes to the conference. So the first safety conference I go to, it's in the biggest ballroom you've ever seen. There's 300 people there. There was not a line at the women's bathroom. This was not a Taylor Swift concert where they switch over the men's rooms to the women's room. No. So there's 300 people in the room, and there's 10 women. And I know that because I counted them. And after that top 25 kind of fiasco, I had become obsessed with counting the number of women in the room. Was I outnumbered? And I always was. I would text Ethan, I'd say, "Guess what? I'm outnumbered. Guess how many women are in this room?" 1. Yep, got it. And I knew I couldn't change that room. I couldn't change the construct that was so embedded in that world, because those 290 men were hiring themselves. It's human nature. It's what we do, right? You look like me. You must be safe. I'll hire you. They weren't hiring me. And for a brief second, I was discouraged. I can't change this room, but I can change this table that I sit at. I can make a difference for my team. I can make my team look different, act different, be better. So that was another challenge that I accepted for myself. And it came a little bit of my personal mission, like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this quietly. And sometimes I'm going to do it loudly. But I'm not going to do it loudly till I do it quietly and have something to show for it. That team that I inherited was 8 white men that all ran plants, big, beautiful manufacturing facilities. When I left that team 5 years later, we had 3 women running plants. We had an Indian American running a plant. We had 2 African Americans running plants and 2 white guys. It was one of the most diverse teams in the entire ginormous gazillion-dollar company. It was also one of the highest performing teams in that giant company. And it wasn't high performing in spite of the diversity. It was high performing because of the diversity. So when you give somebody a shot that doesn't usually get a shot, they will knock your friggin' socks off. And so that is what I saw and got to experience and really, really felt. Wow, this matters. These people are remarkable leaders. They're impressive. They're capable. They're caring. They're awesome. They just needed a shot. And so when I gave them a shot, magic happened. And when all those amazing people that got a shot got together, wow, something special. So my challenge to you is really to think about the table that you're sitting at and maybe the room that you're in. You probably can't change the whole room, but you can certainly change the table. And I challenge you to do that. Thank you.